There is one device that I have that's been a game changer in my working life. It's been around for a little while now, but it helps me enormously every single day of my life to get the most out of each day. It saves me time, it forces me to plan, it gives me a real dopamine hit every time I pick it up. What is it? This is the Remarkable tablet, and it's changed my working life about 4 years ago when I bought it. Now, you may be familiar with this already, but if I go through how it has changed things, you'll see the benefits. So I'm going to show you how I use it every day to sort out my day and organise my life. So for nearly 40 years now, I've run my life on a day-to-day basis, especially in business, like most people, using to-do lists. I've written them longhand and not used a keyboard because the keyboard for me has always presented a barrier between me and the thinking and concentrating. I always used to use notebooks. I used to keep them all, but I realised that that was pointless after a while, so I threw most of them away. But here is one from a few years ago. My process for the last 40 years has been that each morning, the very first thing I do before I actually start work is look at yesterday's to-do list, copy the incomplete tasks into today's list and then add new ones after that. It acts as a kind of a reset and reminds me of what needs to be done urgently or as a priority today. Now, the issue with hard notebooks that I always had was that the to-do lists always got subsumed into the overall notes from the day, and over time my ability to maintain the discipline of keeping the list going would drop away. I needed that neatness to create a feeling that the exercise was worthwhile. But I work in tech and I love tech hardware, and I've always liked the idea of a digital screen capturing my freehand notes and my to-do list, of course. So my first attempt to try and do this was this. And it's the first generation of the Surface Book that Microsoft produced. It's their top-end laptop. It's a hell of a laptop, and I still use it today when I need my own keyboard on a mobile basis. And it's a thing of real quality, and in fact it has the best camera I've ever seen integrated into a laptop. The reason why I got it though was that if you ditch the keyboard like that, you can then write on the screen. You're supplied with a stylus and you should be able to use it like a notebook, but I never got on with it because the writing experience is exactly like you're writing on glass. It just doesn't feel right, coupled with the fact that this is actually pretty heavy, and both of these meant that as a notebook replacement for this, it didn't really work out, to the point where it was just no fun to use it at all, and I never really got into writing my daily to-do list on it. Fast forward to a couple of years ago, and Remarkable, a small Norwegian tech startup, produced the second iteration of their tablet, and they called it the Remarkable 2. It got rave reviews, especially for its paper-like writing experience. I read about it and took a punt and bought one, and so here it is. Two things strike you straight away. Firstly, it is incredibly thin and really light, which means to use it's actually lighter than this paper notebook. The other thing is that the writing experience is almost totally indistinguishable as far as I'm concerned from a ballpoint and paper, so it gets a big tick there from me as well. So to finish off the hardware test angle, I bought a folder for it, and I really use it now as a notebook like any other. Finally, it has a carved from rock feel, and I have had no issues whatsoever with the reliability. But it also has other attributes as well, and these are what make it just about perfect for what I need. Firstly, it has the real advantage that it has a really straightforward folder system that will be familiar to anybody in modern business today, either Windows, Apple or anywhere else. For my uses, it means that rather than have my to-do lists interspersed with other notes, I can file them easily and open them immediately when I need. The way I have things constructed, I have my 3 working headings: Stream 1, consultancy, my day job; Stream 2, new business and stuff like this video, which I scripted on the Remarkable; and Stream 3, which is everything else. Now I consult these 3 headings as I create my daily list. I have downloaded a diary template, which means I can list the tasks each day, and I can see when I complete them if I need to. Secondly, and this is one of the attributes that is a huge benefit for me, but is sometimes listed as a negative, It has cloud-based storage which you can customise to use the service of your choice. I actually use OneDrive, but all the other majors are there. You can access your notes from any device and edit them too. The perceived negative, however, is that that's just about where the online access ends. Now I can see this might be an issue for some people, but for me it's a massive plus. It takes huge discipline, at least for me, to keep thinking about personal management and task lists if I can check Instagram or other social media at the same time. This is just a touch away on other devices, but because it's not here, it means I can really concentrate on what I'm supposed to be doing. I honestly think this has saved me hundreds of hours of doom scrolling over the last 2 or 3 years. And I really want to emphasise this. As an aid to clear thought, it's great. And for me, this is where it scores over almost any other tablet. Thirdly, there is the sheer ease of use, which I love. You open the folder, press the on button, and instantly you're at your to-do list. You tick off the tasks, add more as you go. At the end of the day, I then copy today's to-do list onto the next day, deleting the ones I've already done, move the remainder around as I see fit using the stylus, and if I make a mistake, I can just undo and redo. The stylus is accurate, and that wonderful feel makes it an absolute pleasure to use, and it still gives me a buzz. As a general note taker and idea capturer, you can iterate any thoughts, write them down on the way, and it means you don't have all the crossings out, etc., messing things up afterwards. Okay, so I suppose I'd better talk about some of the negatives. One thing I was interested to buy when it came out was the folder with an integrated keyboard. Here it is, and it's a thing of real beauty, and it feels lovely to type on. The keyboard itself is pretty well integrated into the tablet, but it does feel a little clunky, and I personally just couldn't get to the point where it kind of disappeared in my mind like jotting down notes does with the stylus. I can see why people who default to a keyboard for everything might love it, but for me, I soon reverted back to using the stylus. Another negative has to be the price, I'm afraid. I think it's worth every single penny and I'd be lost without it, but by the time you've shelled out for a cover and the upgraded pen, you're in for about £500 here in the UK. As I said, I've got no issue with that because it's the core of my workflow on a minute by minute, day by day basis, but it is a lot of cash and more than some of the competition actually. Last one on the usage front is that it doesn't have colour options on the screen. You can use colour for external display, but that is quite tricky, and it does give you the feel that people who are colourblind must have when they have difficulty discerning tone differences, for example. But there we have it. I'm an inveterate buyer of the latest tools, and frequently, frankly, they fail to live up to their promise. But my Remarkable 2 is the one gadget I'd save from the fire. It's that good. I thoroughly recommend it.